Hi guys and welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is Annika and today stay tuned for learning some weird stuff that happened to me in my first year in Mexico. It has to do with kind of like exploding boilers and almost getting pneumonia and almost getting fired because of being really sick. And yeah, I remembered all of this because today's been really cold here, like really freaking cold. I know that 1 below 0 isn't anything if you live in Scandinavia or in Canada or in the north of the US, but in Mexico that is pretty cold. And yeah, waking up to those temperatures in the morning reminded me of all of those things that I just mentioned. So stay tuned and let's see what it really was about. So when I came to Mexico, I had to learn how to deal with a boiler. Not a favorite thing of mine. The first boiler I had was in a place where the school provided me with for a month. And that boiler was perfect. It was inside. It never turned off. It was always on and it was working perfectly well. And if there was a problem, I didn't have to deal with it because, I wasn't renting. I was an invited guest and they took care of all of those things for me. But then when I moved into my own house, I met a crappy old boiler. It was a piece of shit, to be honest. And it always turned off. It didn't work very well. I don't think it had ever been cleaned and it was probably bought somewhere in the 1980s. And that thing became my enemy. So I moved into that house in March. It was still pretty cold and that boiler was not working very well. So when I moved in, they showed me how it worked and I didn't like it at all. Like it's gas, it's fire, there's a little flame, turning it on, turning it off. It wasn't really my thing. So I was kind of like hoping for the boiler to work perfectly every day. It didn't really do that. So I had to ask for help a couple of times from a person I was dating. They showed me how to use it. My friend Fabulous dad came and helped me and showed me how it was supposed to be working and what I could do if it turned off. I think also even her uncle came once to help me with that. And everybody was very nice because I never got the hang of it. And why? Because I was still freaked out about the gas and the fire thing. So what happens when you're freaked out about something and you're afraid of something? Accidents happen. So one day the stupid boiler had turned off and I had to turn it on again. And I was there with my matches and moving the little thingy and it didn't really work. And in one moment, I guess I turned up the flame. There was no flame, but I turned it up. I don't know what I did. What I do know is that it backfired. And I think it's a classic because that happened to my partner also. And it has happened to a lot of people I know. So the stupid boiler backfired and it just like, whoosh, and it was kind of like a little wave of fire. So I burned my eyebrows and I don't really have a lot of eyebrows anyway, right? So it burned off my eyebrows and it burned off my eyelashes. They kind of like stuck together like this, but they became very short and it was an awful feeling. And after that incident, I was like, I'm not using that thing again. I'm not gonna turn it on. I'm just gonna take cold showers. It's not really cold outside. It was maybe April, it was May. It was in May. So it was hot, nice and hot outside, right? It was raining from time to time, but it wasn't that cold. However, I started working at 7 o'clock every day. So I had to take a shower at like 5:45, and it was pretty cold taking cold showers there. So I became epically sick, like really sick. And I had a fever, I was coughing, I had a runny nose, it felt like I had a throat infection, and I kind of just went to get over-the-counter meds. They didn't help me. I didn't speak a lot of Spanish. My Spanish was very basic. I had been here for 4 or 5 months, and most doctors did not speak English here in Texcoco, at least not back then. Today, I don't think they do it either, but back then there was definitely nobody really speaking English. So I tried to cure myself with the over-the-counter meds and teas and other things, and it just didn't work. And one day when I woke up on Monday morning, I was so sick. I felt I was coughing up a lung. So I went outside because I didn't have a phone in my home and I didn't have a cell phone either. And I had to go to a pay phone that was like about half a block from my house and call the school. The thing is, the school opened at 7 o'clock, the classes started at 7 o'clock, and everybody came to work at 1 minute to 7 or 7:05. So I knew there was not going to be anyone there, and I didn't have the home phone number of my coordinator either. So I went out in my PJs, I went to the payphone, put a couple of coins in there and called the school and reported that I was sick. And the secretary who answered the phone, she didn't actually speak any English. I just said, soy Anika, con Carmen por favor, or something like that. I don't even remember. Or maybe I just said, hi, it's Anika, can I speak to Carmen, please? Honestly, I don't remember. But I got her on the phone and I told her that I was very, very sick. And she told me, you have to come in and work. And I'm like, I can't come in and work. I think I have pneumonia. I need to see a doctor, but I am so sick. I can really not come in. And that's when I learned something funky about some workplaces in Mexico. I mean, according to law, yeah, you could get fired if you are absent from your work for 3 days. It's like you're abandoning your job. But if you call in sick, that's not abandoning your job. You're being really, really sick. But I was told to come in. If not, I could run the risk of getting fired. And I was like, are you serious right now? You're going to fire me because I'm sick? And she was like, no, not me. I don't want you to get fired, obviously. But maybe the owner of the school could fire you. And I was like, if that's the case, then she can fire me. Because I cannot come in and work. It's an impossibility. I'm also going to get everybody else sick. But apart from that, it's rude and disrespectful to ask a person who is epically sick to come in and work and threaten them with if you don't come and work, you're going to get fired. So yeah, I didn't go and work that day. And I guess it was pretty controversial. That same day, my friend came to see me on her break and she was like, are you sure you cannot go and work? And I'm like, I cannot go and work. Look at me. I am so sick. And she was genuinely worried about me because it had happened before, I guess, that somebody called in sick and they got fired because they didn't believe them. I don't know. It's a whole weird thing. It still happens. My partner got fired a few years ago because he tore his Achilles heel. And while at the hospital, he was still working, still getting things done. And then a month later, he was fired unjustifiably for the same reason, you abandoned your job, which he did not, and that was a whole settlement of the whole thing. But it still happens that companies fire people for getting sick because there's this weird thing going on in many companies, you are not allowed to be sick. And that in itself is just sick. So yeah, if you come to Mexico and you see a boiler, make sure you know how it works so you don't have to have the same freaky experience that I had with that thing exploding in your face. It's really nasty. It's really, really nasty. And yeah, it's after having had those pretty nasty experiences with the boiler, cold showers, almost getting pneumonia, almost getting fired, I was taken care of by one of my students who spoke a little bit of English. She had her own pharmacy, her husband had a hospital, and they took care of me, and I'm so grateful that I had them. And also my friend Fabiola was there with me, translating and helping me. The thing is, you're probably asking yourself, why didn't you go to the doctor before that? The work schedule that we had was insane. 7 o'clock in the morning until 9 at night, we had about 2.5 hours free during the day, but then we had to be at school working on our lesson plans and handing them in. We also worked Saturdays from 8 to 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. We worked from 8 to 1. So it was really hard to find the time to go to the doctor. Also, I was rather intimidated by the fact that I didn't speak any Spanish, and there were no doctors really in Texcoco at the time that spoke English. And sometimes you just let it slip, but never do that. go and see a doctor if you're sick. Also, I want to clarify that that is the only place where I have worked in Mexico where they had that mentality of do not get sick, because if you get sick, you are going to get fired. Every other place where I have worked have been very, very supportive. They have helped me with doctors. When I worked in San Luis Potosí, I had a really good medical insurance that was very helpful in many of the cases. So not all places are like that, and I think it's probably less common today, but it still happens. So yeah, if you come here, make sure that you know how to use a boiler. That's like one of my best recommendations for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today while I was sharing my traumatic experiences of boiler accidents and almost getting fired because I was sick. Let us know in the comments, have you ever had a boiler accident? Have you ever been fired or almost fired for daring to get sick? Let us know. Also check out our other social medias, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe, like, share and recommend, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy. Bye.